Alrighty. Hello everybody. This is Kirisha here, and now, before I do begin, let me give a brief little review. Or overview, I mean. Sorry. Now, you guys are seeing these three mini shots in a very particular order. Along with that, they are going to be an hour long. Each one. Now, for those of you who clicked on this video and are confused when you do see this, I'm still working on some stuff for My Zombie Academia. I did say I was going to be going over it, and after my throat recovered, I realized I'm going to need to do a lot of stuff to make those parts how long I want to make them, especially because they're jumping right into the action. Now, you guys are also seeing these because Blaze won a bet whenever we had a game on Sunday. And Ed, he lost. Now, because of that, Ed's doing 2 videos, I'm doing 3, and Blaze, he's still currently working on some other projects. Now then, with that being said, I do hope you guys do enjoy this, and do go check out their channels, because it's Blaze Hollow of the Blessed Heroes, and then I believe it's Ed Sheeran? I think that's how his channel's pronounced. I can write it, but I just cannot say it. Now then, with that being said, let's get started. We'll start with Izuku Midoriya, and how his life was when he was young. It wasn't that easy. It was tough, it was difficult, it was challenging. Money is power. Cash is king. And that's something Deku, he was well aware of. His father was on the straight and narrow. He wanted to do quite a lot in his life. He wanted his son to have a comfortable life. But that didn't go well. His father had one of his old business partners rat him out. He was pinned for a few things. And after the fines came through, after the money stopped flowing and the cash suddenly was pulled from the projects, Hasashi, he was left with practically no money to his name. His wife, Inko, was well aware of what happened. She didn't blame him. She knew that his business partner cheated him out of the project. He was angry, jealous, and that caused problems. Hasashi was blacklisted from his line of work. And this, it became difficult the more he tried to look around for a career. Eventually, he had to try and switch jobs, but that did not go too well. He switched careers, but people still looked at him differently. They heard about what happened, look into his past, and this guy is accused of a lot. There might not have been jail time, but that was because he sunk every dollar he could into paying those fines and trying to get a lawyer good enough to avoid that sentencing. However, the business partner testified in court about this man. And that's something that Hasashi, he still does not like. Given the chance, he could walk in there and but he doesn't know. For years, he tried to do what was best for their family. And Inko, yeah. She wanted to stay. She got a job and tried to help out. But their family, it wasn't doing good. Inko's name is fresh and new. And while she might not be blacklisted from any industries, it was still only hard for them to make anything if not go by on one single person's salary. There were times where they went hungry. There were times where they barely had any food. Sometimes Izuku was the only one to eat, and sometimes he wasn't. There were times where they didn't eat at all. And we do have Izuku at the age of 5 years old. He does sit there, him smelling a little odd in his school clothes, as right now he does have a lot of things going through his mind. His mom's at work, and his dad is taking on an odd job, as he's called it to his mother. They have been making a little bit of cash. His dad got his first paycheck, and bought them some food, and it was nice. It might not be a fancy place, it might not be anything like that, but it was just a way to celebrate, a way to do things. It was interesting. Izuku, he does sit there before someone does come running up asking exactly if Deku got his damn quirk. Hmm? Oh, I know, no. I'm still trying to figure some stuff out. Hmm? What is there to figure out? Do you have an ability or not? I mean, could your parents even afford to take you to the doctor? A teacher shouting out for Bakugo, and Bakugo does get a turn, pointing out, what? Everyone knows his family's poor. Everyone knows they don't have money. I mean, they can smell him. It's not a secret. And the teacher does come walking over, them wanting to pull Bakugo aside to give him a scolding, even though he is seen as the golden child of their school. And Bakugo is not used to this. However, there is Deku, who does try to think. There's a lot he wants to help with, a lot he doesn't want to say. And this, it does get him curious. He wants to help his family. That's what he wants to do. And Deku, whenever they do go out to recess, he does sit there, trying to think and go over a few things in his own head, drawing in the old notebook his father gave him. He's using a pen, and it's a little, come on, shit. This annoying Deku, before he does go to turn, setting it down since this one might have finally ran out of ink. It's annoying him. He wishes that things are just easy. Him turning, before he sees somebody standing right next to him while he's sitting down. Deku so unflinching before he just stare at the person. Them looking at Deku before they do to turn their head. Deku looking at the strange thing on it. Before he does to ask them, who are they? Then looking at Deku, he does express their ability. That's cool. You're my quirk? Hmm? Really? People staring at Deku before someone does come running up and asking what he's doing. Before they turn their head and look at this strange kid. And Deku does point out, bring his own hand up, that he thinks his quirk just awakened. And people do come walking up. However, whenever the teachers are alerted to this, there is later. Hasashi, he does get the phone call. However, after he does go to quickly answer it, he does hear about what happened. Quite alarmed, as he does slam his phone closed and call and go. She might have to leave her job at the moment, since the one he's taking on, it's definitely going to bring home a little bit more money. And that's what they need right now. They need money. And Inko, she is annoyed when she doesn't hear about it, but when she does explain the situation, her manager does somewhat understand. However, they do talk about how she might have to work a double another possible day. Her nodding and going to leave, before making way to Deku's school and taking him over to the hospital. And there is with the doctor, they do some tests, perform some, and go over a lot. However, Izuku, he has a sentient quirk. And not just that. It's telling him about some of the things that he can do. The things that it can do. And that has them quite intrigued. They want to perform more tests. However, this quirk is unlike any they've seen before. Some of the tests they have Deku participating in, they're interesting. He can manifest a sentient entity, some sort of individual, his ability, it can take actual shape and form. It can respond, listen, and from what they can tell, it does have a mental link with Izuku. He can talk to it. And this does fascinate them. However, there is also the idea of what else this ability can do. It's not only good for defensive and offensive. A tag team to fight somebody if you're ever in danger, ever in trouble. There's also the ability they do learn about with Deku. Whenever he touches an individual and he can see the disc, that they do eject. However, it's another thing. No one else can see them. That is odd. However, there is where Deku, he does just don't sit there. Right now, him talking with another kid who has been testing their quirk out. And things have been interesting. They've been fun. This trip to the hospital has been incredible. And Deku, he does go to bring his hand up. And whenever the kid does talk about how good their quirk is, Deku, he does stare at them. Showing off his quirk with the kid does call his ability stupid, since their power means that they can be a good hero. And Deku, he does frown, him bring his hand up and shoving the kid. And the kid, they do go to fall over for a minute for their turn, catching themselves and looking at Deku. As now Deku does see a disc start to come out of the side of their head. However, it's stuck there. It's not falling out. It's not doing anything. And Izuku, he does go to move. Him going to walk over as he does go to grab the kid. Run out his stand, reaching out and grabbing the disc. Pulling it free as the kid does stop trying to fire off their quirk. And right now they do to look down at their hands. Them alarmed, caught off guard. Before they turn and look at this ability, it holding a shiny disc in its hand. And Deku does stare at that, as his stand does gonna fly back over to him, and he does gonna hold the disc. The kid crying out and even screaming. And when the doctors do come in, they do to find exactly what happened. Turning to Izuku, asking about what happened, especially when they do bring up the disc that he took from the kid. And this, it has them worried. However, Deku, he does come clean. Him showing them the disc and talking about what he did. And the doctors are kind of confused. However, the kid, he does show off that he can't fire off his quirk. Can't do anything. But whenever Deku does walk over to the kid and make physical contact again, him tapping it onto their forehead, they do to watch. The kid's ability suddenly returning and acting normal, as they do look on in awe. Since Deku, he gave this kid back a quirk. He took it away and gave it back. And that does have them fascinated. Deku can do a lot of things. And with his quirk, there's a lot he needs to learn. This on Deku's mind. He went home with his mother, and after Deku's father heard about his ability, he realized something incredible here. He had an illusion ability. I mean, he was hoping his son could inherit it. But this, I mean, if they can get him to take quirks and sell them, that could bring in a lot of money. And Asashi, he hated that thought. He was already doing a few things he didn't like, and the idea of involving his 5-year-old son in this, it got under his skin. It made him feel terrible. It would be an easy buck. Take away quirks and sell them back. That was an idea. But Asashi, he knew the moment he brought this up, they might take his son and kill him. They might hurt his wife. Hell, they might even hurt Izuku. And this is another idea he had. So he bit his time, bit his lip, and did what they asked of him. A few times he did good. Sometimes he did bad. And there was the day that he came home with his hands busted. More so than usual. Inko, she was worried. And after Hisashi complained about one of his fingers, she forced him to go to the hospital, especially since he couldn't even wiggle it. And the doctor found that he busted two of his knuckles and broke his hand. That, it's not good. Two of his fingers are busted. Then the others have fractures. I mean, part of the palm has the fractures as well, but there's also damage. The doctor wanted to know what the man did, and Hisashi, he didn't try to explain. They might have bad insurance, but the insurance barely covered it. And they did have to pay some money, which Hisashi was not happy about. He became angry, and he tried to tell Inko not to ask questions about his job. But that was what had her worried. There are times where she looks at him and he looks distant. I mean, the other day during dinner, he was staring down at his meal. It was his favorite. She made some fried pork chops, some mashed potatoes, and green beans. This was the most food they've had in a while. Hasashi got a raise at work. That's what he told her. Their money problems have been good. They're trying to catch up on their debts. They're doing better. So why did he have that look on his face? What exactly was he doing that caused him to stay like that? Stare at his plate like he was disgusted with it. And that was something that she wanted to know. However, he didn't answer her. He just became distant. It wasn't the same anymore. He would shy away from her, be distant and a little cold. And then there was the way he was acting towards their son. He was angry at their boy for no reason. And Inko, she thought that Hisashi might even be abusing their boy. However, when she asked Deku about this, Deku, he didn't say anything. He let his mom know that that wasn't the case. I mean, Dad's acting odd, yeah, but he's always kind of acting that way. At least as long as he remembers. And Inko, she knew that this might not be a good idea. Involving their son in this argument might get him hurt. It might even get her hurt. She wanted to keep it alone between them. However, there was one day when Hisashi, he was sitting at the table, drinking coffee and waiting for his phone to buzz. And Deku, he was sitting there at the table eating breakfast. He was looking at something and drawing. However, whenever his cup turned over, Hisashi turned, watching as the cup poured across the table and soaked through something. Him getting angry and just shouting, screaming. And he even tried to get Deku to clean that up. However, with how he was acting, she could tell he was not doing good. But when his phone rang, he ran out the damn door. She was concerned. And Izuku, he didn't have a very good home life. There were the days where his father became physical, but it was directed at his mother first, then towards him. And then there was the day whenever he was 9 years old, where his mother passed. And Hisashi, he still had that look of anger, that look of rage. There was an accident, and she came to harm. Deku, he was there. The people who hit their car whenever they were just driving. And Hisashi, he looked like he knew something. Deku, he saw the expression on his father's face. And Hisashi, he tried to tell his son something quite simple. Him currently sitting there, as he's a bring up a hand, telling his boy, life is not easy. It's going to get hard. It's going to be tough. And you have to make your own luck. He hopes that his son has a better life. Right now, though, he's got to figure some stuff out with his. And Asashi left. Though Deku, he knew his father left after he went to the safe. He left money. That was the last thing he left, along with an apology. And Asashi, he went out in a blaze of glory. Deku was left alone. He found out later that his father, he attacked some people. Some people connected to an organization he believed were responsible for killing his mother. And Deku, he doesn't blame his father. His father had a harsh life because he didn't have money. He didn't have a way to get by and put food on the table. Though that isn't a problem for him nowadays. He's learned about his abilities, learned how to properly correct them, use them. And he wouldn't say abuse them, but definitely at least follow his father's lesson. Make your own luck. That's what he does. And that was his plan from the beginning. As Reno Deku, he does walk down the road. A few things going through his mind. He's got a meeting. He's got a lot he needs to tell some people about. It's gonna be quite interesting. And currently Deku, he does go to sit down in a booth as a man, does look up confused, before Deku does express to the man. Currently pulling out a note and going to slide it over. The man looking down before Deku, he does go look up at the man, expressing to him. Does he remember now? I do. Who are you? Keep looking at the note. The person looking back down, before expressing, about to tilt their gaze up. Stay down. Who are you? Why do I know you? Why am I staring at this? Simple. I wrote something down on that paper, and it is quite the interesting little trick. Call it hypnosis. It doesn't matter. You usually tend to forget, especially with those triggers I've planted inside your brain. What? What are you talking about? Listen, I'd explain it in further detail, but I don't think we have that time. You have information about a buyer? Something I was supposed to know about? You pass the message to me and I move along with the deal? I give you your cut, and then you go back to not asking your questions? Does that sound about right? Yeah, I know. I work for the snake, but I don't know much about him. Good. Let's keep it that way. You're not supposed to know anything about me. All you know is you shut up deals, I come to you, or you think I give you a phone call. One or the other. Sometimes we meet, sometimes we don't. However, where is the client? They're down the road. They're, you know, Yakuza? I believe so. What? What's wrong with my head? You're blocking a few things out. Let's put it this way. I rewired your brain to work like a video game. I say certain words, you give me certain responses. One of my best tricks, actually. You don't even know you work for me. At least, well, me. The person stealing a glance at Deku, and Deku, he does sit there smiling. Before Deku does talk about it, the man does usually have a little bit of problems. Hmm? What are you talking about? Him looking back down, before Deku does bring up his hand, talking about it. Right now, him looking around at the empty diner, before he has to stand up and go to walk over to his side of the booth. Currently, him bringing his hand up as the man does sit there. Him confused. His mind tells him that he should move. His instincts? But he's not. He's just watching. And Deku does bring his hand up, tapping to the man's forehead before he does go watch a disc begin to move between his fingers. Deku bringing it down and pulling it out. Before he does go look at the disc and spin it in his fingers. The man's sitting there frozen. Before Deku, he does try to think about how to handle the situation. He wanted somebody who he can talk with, was malleable, was easy to work with, traveled, that was a good one, a big one, and who didn't ask too many fucking questions. However, this guy, he was worried about where all this money was coming from. I mean, yes, he works for a sketchy guy, but all he ever does is go from A to B, and usually he just, what? Drops off the merchandise with somebody else, who passes it off to somebody else, who blah, blah, blah. At least that's how he thought it worked. But that's not the case. Deku, he does sit there, debating on rewriting this disc, debating on erasing everything and taking it away. He already took away the man's pain, the thing that ailed him so much. He made the man better, though he should give that back. Let him see what it's like again? Teach him a lesson? No, 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 no. He's done that too many times. Deku going to sit down. Before he does want to spin the disc on the table, thinking about it. And the man, he does sit there silently, looking around, just staring in one single spot, across the restaurant and out that window. And Deku does debate it. He can toss this disc away. Someone might find it, but they're not going to put the pieces together. And even if they did, it's not like they could do anything. His quirk only allows him to do this. I mean, sure, he's never had someone actually try, but he's never given someone control of a disc. Not even her. That would be an interesting little experiment. Though, Deku gonna slide the disc directly into his jacket. For right now, he'll hold on to this. Let the man just have some time off. Break the disc if he does come to a decision before then. Ronald Deku going to put his hand into the booth as there is his stand, which does go to move down and bring its hand out, grabbing the briefcase the man brought into the restaurant before it does a fly up. Right now it going to move back into Deku as his hands are wrapped around the handle of the briefcase. Him going to turn and walk away. And the man does sit here for a while. The waitress, she saw somebody come in. She thought it was the man's son or just somebody he knew. It was a young man who he was that's odd. Her walking over. Before she does get a look at the man and bring her hand up. Right now her asking him if he's alright, before her arm does get a land on his shoulder. Currently, the man going to stare off as she does shake his shoulder. Him going to turn and look her direction before his face, it does still remain frozen. His head somewhat slumping to the side before the woman does let go. her accidentally pushing a little as Anisa fall forward, slumping into his food. Before she does, go to yell out for someone to call an ambulance. And Deku, he already is walking down the road. He's long gone, putting the briefcase into a car and driving off. Right now, him thinking. It's quite interesting. Currently, him pulling up to a location as the car does a stop. And whenever Izuku does climb out, he does go to turn. Seeing another vehicle as someone, they do go to stand there. Deku walking up and bringing his arms around a woman. Before she does go to lean in and give Izuku a kiss. Before he does a pull back. Him putting his forehead to hers, talking about it. Sorry about that. He just had to deal with a little bit of business. You sure? Yeah. It's alright now. Though this loose end will tie up in a decent amount of time. Not sure yet when they'll find him. Though it's a victimless crime. At least no one dies. Yet. Ochako smiling back at him, before asking exactly if he's brought something special to the meeting. I mean, of course his stand can work, but there's also the stuff she is a little worried about. I got it. Besides, don't worry. Deku turning his head. Before a man is a step out, currently wearing a red and black suit. Him going to express about how he'll get everything handled. No problem. Though, is there anything else that they do need? Kirishima's stepping out. As Deku does tell him. Not really. Turning as the other door does it open. And Bakugo Katsuki, he does stand there. Him in a black suit and a black tie. A white undershirt, as is to ask exactly if Sir needs anything else. To which Deku does tell the man about how he just needs them to act as the extra muscle, and that should be fine. If anything does go awry, Kirishima is to draw gunfire, and Bakugo is to kill everyone inside the room. It's that easy. And Ochako does smile, her turning back to Deku and giving his hand a squeeze, before Deku does a step into the warehouse. Him sitting there. And right now the vehicle, it does go to sit there idling as they're waiting. And Ochako does try to ask him some questions, wanting to know exactly what he brought today. Not much. You know the typical shit we deal with. I've gotten a little bit of interesting abilities. Deku turning, going to open the case before he does go to crack the thing open properly. Ochako watching all the shiny disc inside. All of them neatly put in some sleeves so they don't get scratched. And Deku, he does go to pull one up. I know him grabbing it from the housing inside the briefcase, pulling it out, and then going to talk about it, flipping it over. This particular quirk is quite easy. It's something he believes the buyer would want. You know, a measly 1 million for this one. What is that one? Oh, you know, a hardening ability. I am selling quirks after all. And who wouldn't want to be bulletproof? Though I've also got this one, fire ability, this one, you know, ice ability. Pretty powerful too. Deku holding one up, turning to Ochako and going to sort of wave it a little bit with his fingers, talking about how he's even got this one. It is priced up a little bit higher. He'd say about 20 million. This is a half and half ability. You know, he still hasn't been able to get rid of this one yet. Though, he's also got some good memories here. even some bad ones. Though the bad ones are cheaper, but they do come with special cost. Like, people want information. I'm the only one who can extract it, so I'm the only one who can know it. Right now, Deku going to talk about it. Turning to one of the discs and holding it up. They're all quite precious. He's even thought about keeping some of these to himself. The better memories, the nicer memories. Though, he also does have one quite interesting one. Deku turning and holding it up, expressing. He calls it the Midnight Experience. 50 million. Really? Yup. Trust me, I'm pretty sure someone's gonna want to buy this. What's on there? Well, only the greatest hits of Miss Midnight. A lot of the shit she did. It's a life, Ochako. All on a disc. I'm pretty sure someone will want to see this. Walk it a mile in someone else's shoes. Or, well, walk a bit in their life. Experience of a pro hero, along with her attitude, demeanor. It's an experiment. Whoever pays for this, I'm sure they might either enjoy it or want their money back. Though, then I could just put different memories in. Give them something else they don't want. Anyways. Hmm. Do we know anything else about this buyer? Her going to turn, grabbing a laptop as a shiny bracelet does sit on her wrist, a little exposed for Deku to see. Right now, Deku staring at it before she does gonna type into her computer and talk about it. Okay. The buyer wants information removed. Hmm. That's simple enough. And they want to buy stuff. They're mainly interested in the pyrotechnics ability and the mutant ability. Though they were hoping to put in a special order. A special order? What am I, a fucking chef? Izuku, I don't think you understand. This order, it's a pretty good one. I don't care what it is. What do they want? Fire, ice, some other bullshit, darkness, the ability to teleport. Haven't ran into that one yet. Izuku, they're offering 100 million. Okay. Start talking a little bit. They're hoping to get information. And not just that, but they're they're hoping that you're willing to try something out. In what regard? With my power or in a business deal? Because the last guy who tried to mess with us, I left drooling in a hospital bed. In fact, I think he's at least able to look around. Gave him that much left. Izuku, I'm being serious. Sorry. Deku bring his hand out. Whenever she has to reach for his own, she has to grab it. Him asking her exactly what does a customer want. Um, well, there's quite a few here. Hmm. You're asking for a few abilities. Like? Well, okay. They want some sort of offensive ability, something highly defensive, and then they're actually even offering money just to know what you can do. Apparently, they. Huh? They what? They also want to just have the meaning. Hmm. That's a little fishy. Bakugo going to give them the signal, turning his head in the vehicle and expressing to the two that a vehicle has pulled up. and Deku does inform them to step out. And Baku and Kirishima, they do so. Before there is to do a walk to the back and open the doors, allowing Deku no Chako to step out. Before Deku's to hold the briefcase and go to walk around, setting it on the trunk before he does go to bring up a disc. Currently, him going to look at it before he does flip it over. Him going to pull it out from the casing as he's to bring it up to his head and go to slip it in. Deku going to do so as right now he does have some images flash in his mind. Him going to taking a breath before his demeanor is a drop. It's more cold and calculated. As Deku does feel the weapon underneath his coat. And he feels ready, calm, calculated, better. Right now, him gonna walk up. Before he's gonna stand there and bring his hands up to his pockets. Before the vehicle does it a stop and people do to step out. A person going to step out of the vehicle as they do go to sit there. Right now, them getting up as they do go to express. Walking over as Deku is to bring his hand up to tell them to stop. Hello there. Hi. Who might you be? I'm working on behalf of my benefactor, my mentor. I'm here to secure a few items. Are you now? What exactly are you here for? I hear you can get quirks. I hear you sell them. Is that correct? I market in them, yes. Though why are you here? You're the people who want me to do a special request? Do I have that correct? Not only is that request involved in 100 million, but you want me to go after a few people on that list? He does, though he's also quite intrigued. What can you do? What else can you give him? What does he want? I've got experiences, memories. That's what I deal in. Powers, things you can't even imagine. Deku, we're now having his stand pop out. It staying there as Toya does a turn and tell Dabi not to do anything stupid, since this is what they've heard about. And Deku does a turn, asking what he's talking about. We've heard quite a few things about you, Snake. I prefer Whitesnake. Really? Deku turning, expressing that this is their name. People call him that because he usually tends to talk to himself. And, well, he used to wear a different color suit. A different shirt. It was easier. Harder to manage. Though, what are they looking for? We're looking for a few things. What can you do? What can't I do? You want an ability? You got it. You want a memory? I can find it. You want an experience? I might have it. That's what I can do. Though be warned, if you're paying me, then I've got to come a little closer. My abilities are only physical contact. You understand? Deku lying a little bit. A half-truth. And the person does get to express about how they can certainly see that. Though, what else could he do? What else can I do? Deku stepping forwards, holding up a disc in his hand, expressing. He can do quite a lot. Take away his quirk or give him one. In fact, Deku bring the disc up as the person does stare at it. It disappearing into Deku's head. As he does, gonna bring his hands back, and one of them do to spark with flames. And Deku does a spark the other one with ice. talking about it. He can do quite a lot with them. They're simple, easy. Deku turning his hand, where he's a blast of a massive amount of fire in that direction. Turning his left hand and going to blast another amount of ice in that direction. Before he does express, bring his hand up and going to pull the disc out. It's easy. He can do what he wants. Deku bring up his left hand, as if he was going to fire. Before he does a show with his hand, he doesn't have the ability. It's all real. All what he has. So, do they have a deal? A deal. The person stepping forwards bring their hands up talking about how they do, though their mentors wanting them to step in a little. Really now. Are you sure that's Rise, Tomura? What? Oh, Tomura. That's not wise at all. Or would you prefer me to call you Shigaraki? The man did raise you after all. Who are you? How do you know? Please. You think I'm not prepared for situations like this? You don't think I've had to deal with this? You know me. I'm a snake. This is a lair, Tomura. The moment you walked in, the moment you arrived, you fell under my spell. I'm the one in control here. So, this illusion has a possibility. You listen to me, or I make sure I kill you on the spot, rip your powers out of you, and I have the chance to leave you as a vegetable who will piss himself. Does that sound nice? I can leave you aware enough, or I can trap you on a disc and put you in someone else's head. See how that does turn out. It might be interesting. Rip a consciousness from the mind and put it somewhere it shouldn't be. See, now I'm curious about what else I can put you in. That sounds fun, doesn't it? Tomura's staring at Deku, a little bit more alarmed. Before he does try to relax, and Dabi does go to express, bringing up his own hands, stepping out. Okay, so what the fuck is going on then? He's lying. Reno, Tomura stepping forwards, and Deku, he does go to vanish, appearing right behind him and talking about it. Is it a lie? It's an illusion. It's all about how him swinging, turning and trying to reach out for Deku, him disappearing and vanishing, before there is where the entire warehouse does go to remain empty. And Tomura, he does look around, trying to figure out what the hell's going on, what happened, where the vehicles went, where everyone else went, where everything went. And Tomura does a turn, just alarmed, concerned, confused, terrified. Him falling to the ground is right now he has to throw his hands down. And the ground, it doesn't decay. Him bring up his hands confused. Before he has to touch his face. Right now, whenever he does feel the contact, he does feel immense pain shoot through him. Before he just scream out and something does stop. Him looking around before he can't move. And this is where Deku, he does go stand there. His hand out is Tomura. He does go to turn his head up. Finding that right now he does sit on that hand. Looking up to see Deku, who does begin to close his hand into a fist. Closing Tomura inside of it as right now the man does it a jump up. Him alarmed, trying to think about what happened, and he does look down. Right now him not in some fancy clothes, but in a regular shirt and feeling his hair. His hair feels normal. His face feels a little dry, but he's okay. Tomura turning, seeing a car that does have Dobby, Toga, and a few others of the League of Villains. Before he's a turn to look back, Deku bending down and holding up a disc, talking about it. And that does conclude their demonstration. So what does he think of his particular abilities? What what demonstration? Oh, sorry. I tend to forget that sometimes people come out of it a little confused. It's simple. I showed off my abilities to you. You saw what you wanted to see. I wanted you to see. You wanted a demonstration of my power. I showed it to you. Though I did edit a little bit of things. This is all the original information. It should set it all back to normal for you. Along with that, shake my hand. Tomura alarmed, looking at Deku's hand before looking back up at him. Deku giving him a smile and telling him, it's proof, right? His quirk is based on physical contact. Same as his. Though, shake it. See what happens. Isn't he curious? And Tomura does get to do so. Him making physical contact with Deku's hand, staring down and waiting for something to happen. Though it doesn't. Deku is shaking the man's hand, and Tomura stares at this as if his hand is on fire. If it's like covered in acid or if it's just covered in just he can't believe this. Him bringing up his left hand, staring at this before bringing it to his face. And he's surprised. He's quirkless? Deku letting go and talking about it. Well, now then. As for that deal he wanted, they can discuss that a little bit further. Maybe increase the price. He's asking for quite a lot of people. And a healing quirk. That's going to be a little bit more difficult. He can see about finding leads on that one, but don't count him lucky on that. Seriously? But how? Your powers don't make sense. I get that a lot. Though, do you want your quirk back? I could sell it off. Get rid of this vile little monstrosity. Just cut out all those bad little memories you have. It would take a little bit of time, but it's not impossible. Shigaraki. Him looking at Deku. And Deku does it a smile. Before he does express, he wants it back. And Izuku, he doesn't comply, handing back over the disc and going to slide it back into his head. Whenever it does get to fully go inside, Deku does stare at the man, who does bring his hands up and try to think, bring his hand down to the ground and watching it begin to crack under the feel of his hands. Right now, Shigaraki looking down, in awe. He wouldn't have believed it if he didn't just witness it for himself. Him looking up, staring at Deku, who does go to smile. This is incredible. This boy's quirk. It's nearly like his master's, but it's different. It's dare he say it, advanced. Better? Maybe it's better. Though it does have him wary. This boy can mess with his mind, mess with his quirk, mess with everything. How could he be aware his thoughts are his own? He's loyal to All for One, the man who raised him. Are these his true thoughts? Did he truly mess with something inside of his head? And Deku does look at him, reading his mind almost as if he could. Deku expressing, he left everything normal, if that's what he's worried about. He usually does tend to do that. Call it confidentiality. He's a businessman. He's not going to mess with a client unless they wrong him, as he's had to do so before. That's why they call him ruthless. And why exactly most people don't do business with him if they flake. Is that so? It is. I've had to learn quite a lot of lessons in my life. That is what I've had to learn. Now, your special order. I can complete it, but it will take time. How much? How much does your master have? From what I understand, the healing ability is the top of the list. I can get some leads on that and see what I can find there. I know some people in the underworld. Some I can talk with. If I can find an ability like that, then I could help. Though, if you do want a little bit more on your end, your master might need to help out a little bit. I'm willing to cut down the price. Though I will charge him an installment fee. Really? Yes. Gotta make a buck somehow. Deku shrugging, and Shigaraki does stare at him before he's to express, turning and going to leave. He'll get started on that order right now, since this is all the business they've had. Him jumping up and yelling for Deku to stop. Deku turning as he does it ask if there's any other business they want. What do they want to buy? Or is this personal? He's already got a list to fill. And the more time they waste of his, the more time he's losing making money. Did you do anything to my head? No, I didn't. Although I did take a peek at your brain. You're sad. You're hiding something from yourself. Though the moment you figure that out, I'm sure you could be proper folk. Or a proper villain. Your master and I do think, though, we are two peas of a pod. I will say that much. Deku's smiling, and Shigaraki is confused by what he does mean, but he is a little intimidated by that, especially after what he witnessed. An illusion so real, it felt like reality. It felt like he was putty in a god's hands. And that thought, it does somewhat set him still, quiet, afraid. And right now Deku does gotta leave. Currently, him gonna sit here as Ochako does pass over the computer. Deku typing a few things in before staring at this list. You have All Might, number 1. Number 2, Endeavor. Number 3, Hawks. Number 4, Best Genist. Then you have number 5. Principal Nezu of UA. Number 6, you have Recovery Girl. Number 7. All of these are possible. People you can get. Number 7, Mr. Aizawa. That one, he should get first. Or should he get All Might? If he does work fast, All Might and Aizawa could be taken out quickly. Aizawa won't be able to react, and All Might he can catch off guard. All Might is a symbol of peace. The way he usually does react. Relaxed, willing to talk with people, willing to make contact. Mr. Aizawa. Eraserhead, the night hero, more reluctant, more isolated, less willing to make contact with people. That one will be harder. Okay. It does sound like a plan, something that he can do. And this thought does pass through Deku's mind. As right now the vehicle, it does get a drive through the street, before finally pulling to a spot where it does a stop. Deku stepping out as he has a turn, bringing his hand up for Ochako to take. Her stepping out with him as the two do to make their way inside. And currently they do to have lunch at a very nice restaurant. Deku sitting here as he did order some food and turn to Ochako, who chooses to stare at the menu, her a little concerned about what to get. However, Deku does express, bringing his hand up and ordering for her, talking about how it should be fine. And she's at turn, looking down before she to check the price, her giving Deku a little bit of attitude for spending so much money. However, he doesn't want to laugh, turning and grabbing her hand, telling her about how they've got plenty to spend. Besides, they do plan to come here again. Try this one first. Then the next time, try a different one. You're right. I'm still getting used to that, I guess. Her giving Deku a smile, a happy grin. And this, it does won't comfort him, since some of his problems are over. Though the others, they might be beginning, especially with the plan he's trying to formulate. Now, with that being said, I do hope you guys enjoyed, and have an amazing day. I'll catch you guys in the next mini shot.